Hey everyone, once again, it's Kevin back with a Top Producer Spotlight. I'm so blessed and lucky today to have my dear friend, amazing leader in the industry, coach, producer, marketing genius, Shane Kidwell. Shane, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm well, man. You make me sound better than I feel, so thank you.
Hey, well, you do that for me, so it's I should give it back to you because every time I hear you speak, I'm inspired, I'm motivated to get out there and do it. And you've had an amazing story, and I want to kind of start with that and share your story with some of the folks that might be listening there today. Is you started off as a firefighter not too long ago, and then you moved into the industry. How long have you been in the mortgage industry now?
Yeah, so all in since 2010, January 2010.
Right.
Full time, I retired in August of, so this will be coming up on 3 years out of the business, out of the fire department business. So full time in the mortgage industry, just right around 3 years.
So in doing this full time in 3 years, you've been top 1% in what, last 2 years, last 3 years already? I mean, just
Last
moved
four
really
years,
quickly.
yeah. My first year, I was kind of like part-time, full-time, and I hit 1%. And then I've had it. So this will be 4 years in a row I hit top 1%.
How does somebody move that quickly? Now, obviously you were doing it part-time. How does somebody move that quickly from a career in firefighting to being one of the top producing loan officers in the country?
Yeah, I mean, so, it's funny. People ask me all the time, like, what did you do? Like, because everybody's starting somewhere. And there were a couple things. I was really, really quick to respond. And so, like, for me, speed was a huge, I tell people all the time, you can make a fast mistake and people will still be happy that you were fast. But if you make a slow mistake, like, they're going to hammer you. And so I made a lot of fast mistakes, but I also made a lot of fast successes too. And so I
Sure.
think that was, so like I was faster than everybody else because I'm used to working fast because firemen, you're sitting down watching TV and all of a sudden the bell goes off, you get up, you got to be out in the rig in a minute, you got to go deal with somebody's drama. Right. And that's what we do in the mortgage business, right? It's no different. So I think it was speed. I think that I really, really went into technology all in when I started because I didn't have a database. So for me, I sat down and I looked, I said, I've got to be different. What's my differentiator? What can I sit in a room with a guy like Kevin and say, hey, Kevin's got this huge database and all this experience, but I have this shiny widget. I do this and I do it all really, really fast. And so then I just started building relationships with agents. I would try to bring them a lead. And so instead of cold calling every Monday, hey, I'd love to sit down and find out if we're a good fit. I said, hey, I've got a guy in this market. They're not working with an agent relationship. I see you around town. You have a great reputation. I wanted to sit down, grab coffee and see if we were a good fit to partner on this deal. 100% of the time, if you email an agent that's worth their weight and you say you have money for them, they're going to follow up. So I did that. And I remember there was days where I was going to 5 or 6 coffee appointments at Starbucks, at the same Starbucks, back to back to back, meeting these agents with these potential leads. Now, I would take one lead and introduce them to 3 agents because that's what they were doing to me. And so I could take one lead and repurpose it with 3 agent meetings. Now, all I was saying was I have a client that, is looking for an agent relationship. You might be a good fit. I didn't promise them anything. So it was 100% above board. That worked really well for me. And so I was able to leverage my technology, my speed, and kind of get in the door with a few key players. And then it just started to roll and get busier and busier and busier to the point where I sat down with my business coach and he goes, so let me get this straight. You make X amount per loan. You can do all these other things. It allows you to travel, do this, do that, or you can be a fireman. He's like, dude, you're jumping over hundreds to pick up pennies. He's like, do you love being a fireman? I'm like, well, I love being a fireman, but I love being an entrepreneur. He's like, what do you love more? I'm like, I love them about the same. He's like, which one makes you more money? Which one gives you more freedom? Which one gives you more time? And so I was nervous. I did not want to retire because I've been working for 12 years as a full-time fireman, 3 years as a volunteer. I had a pension. I mean, I had all these things. I'd worked my ass off to get to where I was. I mean, I applied with 4,500 people for 15 jobs. So, but I finally bet on myself and I said, you know what, if I'm not willing to buy Shane Kidwell, the stock, like, what am I doing? I might as well just go back to being a fireman and doing nothing else. And so I stepped out in August of three years ago. I think this will actually be 4 years this August. And I just went in on my own and it's been the best decision I ever made. It's not been easy. Now we have a brand. So we built our own brand. We've got multiple offices. We cover about 35 states and, we've got a really fun, nimble team. And so it's a unique setup, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I heard you talk about a coach, and I think that's really interesting, and we'll get into that a little bit more about, how big coaching has been in your life, and not only that, like you do for others, but who do you look to for advice, like on the market and the state of the industry currently today? Because that's obviously really important to those LOs out there.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people that are industry experts that, I'm blessed to be able to call friends. Barry Habib's been somebody that before I knew him personally, I knew him online. And right when I got into business in 2010, I signed up for his programs, and just because I was all about absorbing knowledge. When you're new, you can either be a know-it-all or know none. And I wanted to be, I know nothing, but like I'm going to absorb everything. And so I just absorbed everything. And Barry was phenomenal at teaching me the lingo. I had a good branch manager that really integrated with a lot of technology. He had been a broker and built his own little entity. And I think then I got in with a group of people in a coaching group, and these guys and gals became not only my friends, but confidants. It's hard in our business because when you do really, really well, like who do you tell? If you go out there in social media, you're bragging. If you tell your employees, you're gloating. Your wife doesn't really care. She just wants you to be home more. So like, who do you go to when you have a success or when you have a failure or struggle? And so I met this group of guys, we built this tight knit friendship, and we've been friends ever since. And it's just been awesome. So we live in different states. We travel and hang out together, and I was just talking to him on the phone this morning. So I think that like my group of friends in the mortgage industry, guys like Barry Habib, Dave Savage really was just a great guy. When I first got in, I got in on Mortgage Coach very early, and he's just been an incredible implementer of leading edge, bleeding edge technology. And so, you align yourself with people that are always trying to improve and change and adapt. And it makes you just feel like you have to do that to keep up.
Yeah. And you were talking about the group of guys. Obviously, that's your next level coaching officers, right? You guys, next level loan officers. I'm going to plug you right here. As somebody who is one of their vendors and, sponsors, I couldn't be more proud of the relationship that we have. I feel like I'm part of that family. I feel so included in everything that you guys have done. It's been tremendous for our business. But the other thing that I get from it is, I'm able to sit in there and listen to you guys and be that sponge like you talked about a little bit earlier, is I get to learn from you guys. I'm obviously not the guy in there in the grind every day trying to produce loans, but I need to be able to talk to my customers and have an understanding of what they're doing. And I get so much of that from you guys. Can you tell me about the backstory? You're a co-founder of it. How did Next Level come to be? And what's it like for somebody if they are looking for a coaching group now? Why Next Level?
Yeah, first off, you're not a sponsor, you're a business partner. So yes, I mean that's truthfully how we look at you and like a couple other strategic players. Like we use the products that we promote because we feel so highly about them. So it's a real partnership. We've been blessed to work with you guys, and we get so much from you guys, and Brian and everybody else on your team's just been incredible. So that's number one. Next Level was founded by a bunch of originators who wanted something more. And we had all been in coaching groups in the past, and there's a lot of great coaching groups, and everyone can find something about a group that they like and something that they dislike. That's true of anything. That's true of your marriage. It's true of your friendships. That's true of your company. What we felt like was we wanted to be aligned with people who are actually in the trenches, originating, that were feeling the pains and the challenges that we were feeling. And it wasn't this out of touch group of people that originated years gone by before the CFPB, before LEs, and so that was really a challenge for us, but we collaborated. And I think one thing that made it unique was these guys were ballers. I was just a young dude, like just an LO working for a big company. And I sat down with these guys at events in Texas and Florida, all over the country, and I picked their brain, and they shared everything. Whereas a lot of times, at a company, you've got these awesome big producers, and you ask them questions, they don't have time for you, right? It's like they hide everything in a box because it's like their secret, when in reality, they're just duplicating what somebody else did and putting their flair on it like everyone else is doing. And so with these guys, you could say, like, hey, man, what are you doing for your phone system? What are you doing for your CRM? How do you hire staff? How do you take weekends? How are you down here in Florida? You're not stressing out. And through that collaboration, that partnership, we just decided that for us, no one could do it the way we could do it other than us. So we did it. And so we built Next Level Loan Officers. We've been around for a couple of years now. We've got an amazing group of, we call it a family. I mean, it's like a fraternity of sorority of people that speak and think the same, work the same, hold each other accountable. We celebrate our wins. We talk about our losses. And it's just been a ton of fun to get together, and we're all in it together. All the coaches originate. manage teams, are at some level involved in the business on a day-to-day. And so I think that's been what's been unique about it. We all bring our own flair. We're completely different. What I focus on, I was a fireman. Like, we don't really have a filter, for those of you who don't know firemen. Like, we speak what we think, and we just do what we do. So I bring my own unique flavor to it, my branding and some of the social media stuff I do. Ken Travis has been a branch manager for years. The dude is able to go fishing with his kid during the week and not be stressed out because he's built this incredible machine. Kellen Vaughn, Sean Zalmanoff, Jeff Lagoni, Wes Wyrick, Allen, Bomb, like leading Bomb experts. So the group is just an amazing group of people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's kind of funny is, obviously we've acquired a lot of customers through this process. And one of them is Danny Edgegerian down in Miami. And I got a text from him the other day. He said, "Hey bro, what's up?" And I'm completely ready for Danny to be like, "Hey man, this campaign's not firing off," or something. "I need to get this up and running." And I'm like, "Hey man, I'm doing great. How are you?" He's like, "I'm good." I'm like, "So what's up?" He's like, "Nothing. I just wanted to check on you, bud." I mean, it's like, and there's that group of people that I feel a part of that family, and it is so true. And I'd encourage anybody who's listening to this, if you are looking for a coach, I couldn't recommend these guys enough. What's the benefit? Why should an LO be looking for a coach? Like, what's the benefit to the LO? Why do they need coaching?
Yeah, there's these realms in your life, the things I know, like, I love football. I love coffee. I love being an entrepreneur. That's what I know. There's the things I know I don't know. I'm not talented artistically. I don't have a lot of patience. Like, I'm not good at ballet. And then there's the things you don't know. And that's the area where people crash and burn. I didn't know that I wasn't good at this. I didn't know I wasn't a good manager. I didn't know that my competition was giving my agents more value than I was. I didn't know that my finances are a mess. I didn't know that I don't know how to manage my time, because you have nothing to compare it to. And typically no one who's going to speak honestly into your life and into your blind spot. That's coaching. Now, there's accountability involved in that. I think that, but if you don't speak into a blind spot, then you're just holding them accountable to the same thing that everybody else is being held accountable to, which is not unique and differentiating. And so I think that it's really important to first embrace the fact that you're different, be yourself, do your own thing, just be you. We have a whole class on You Inc., like being your own brand and understanding that. And then coaches can come in and speak into areas where you're weak, where you're deficient, where you're blind, maybe areas where you're arrogant, and arrogance is causing you to have this huge like exposure to something. I think that's the benefit of coaching. It's not for everybody. And like, we turn down more people than we accept. And we're totally comfortable with that, because we're not in the business of taking people's money. We're in the business of expanding their wealth and their time and their value and their audience. And if we can expand all those things, the coaching is free.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember one of the first times I sat and listened to you, and you talked about, what are you worth per hour? What's your rate? And I thought that they knew it. And you obviously shared your story and where you were at. And so I've had that conversation with some customers on the phone, because I'm trying to get them to articulate the use of a CRM and how much time it's saving them. And I want them to be able to tell me, yeah, I'm worth $300 an hour. I'm worth $200 an hour. And when I can show them I'm saving you multiple hours a week, and you roll it out times 52 weeks, I'm making you money. But I'm shocked at the number of loan officers that can't answer that question. I mean, and I think that they need groups like yours to walk them through the process and exactly see how it is. And it's not as simple as just what you made last year versus how much you work. I mean, obviously there's more complexity to it. But I love that you're an advocate and a fighter for the LO. I love that when I hear Next Level speak, I feel like you guys want so much more from them than just to produce more loans. You want them to have a better family time. You want them to have better relationships with their loved ones. You want them to just enjoy life more. How did that transition from just, let's produce more loans to let's make people better people?
I think for us, it never transitioned, because we never were about that. I mean, like, we sit down as a group of owners and we say, what do we need to do to be adding more value to these guys? And so, like, we've added multiple additional opportunities for our group and not added a dollar to their subscription, because for us, we know that dollars follow value. If you add value, like in everything you do, the dollars are going to just show up, right? So it's like every week we get a FedEx box full of the reflection of our value, right? So for us, it's always been about value. And I think that we look at things, we're all, family guys. We all value things other than just being the best, which really means that you're great in one area and you're deficient in every other. Like, we don't want to be good at one thing. It's like, I was watching on ESPN that the whole steroids era in baseball, and you had these guys with massive biceps, skinny little legs that could do one thing and one thing really well. Well, as soon as a rule changed, they were no longer the best, and they quickly retired as soon as. And so for us, our goal has always been, we want to build well-rounded people, and we want to be well-rounded people. You know, some of our guys are into Tough Mudders. We got a guy that did 75 hard and completed it. Like, we have guys that take like 2-week vacations to South America with their family. That's, to us, the true definition of success. For me, I was just gone for 8 days in Florida with my wife. We were able to go down there with friends. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't angry or bitter. I had none of those feelings that you typically get as an LO when you leave, right? Because LOs will say, we take vacation. I'm like, well, do you work? Well, they're like, well, of course I do. Well, then you're not on vacation, right? And so that's what we're building, and that's what we've been all about. So I think that's really, I mean, I hope that kind of answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's more than about doing loans, and I think that's what people need to hear, because I do see it so often that the loan officers, especially when they try and come in and they want to implement my CRM, is that they don't have time to implement the CRM. And I'm like, you don't have time not to, because that's the whole idea behind a CRM, is that it's going to save you time. It's going to keep you on task. You're not going to miss those leads and those follow-ups. I mean, Lord knows I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes like, oh, I forgot to call so-and-so back. I'm working on this deal. And sure enough, I go into my CRM and I've got a task later on that day or possibly the next day. I just got to trust that process is working. Now that we're talking about CRM, and it'd be at fault if I didn't talk to you a little bit about you and your relationship with Whiteboard. You switched to Whiteboard. It's coming up on almost a year. It's hard to believe that. It's probably right about now we really started diving into that conversation a year ago. What made you think you should start to switch and start looking for another CRM?
Yeah, I think for us, like, going back to that time piece, like, I was spending all of my time building out a CRM, managing, maintaining. I became the customer support system for my CRM. And like, that's a terrible use of my time, you know? And so we were on a very complex, very elaborate system, very robust, but it required developers and inventors basically to keep the thing rolling. And and so, like, I look at, my analogy would be, it's like, for people who say they don't have enough time, that's like saying, I don't have the time to put oil in my engine. Well, yeah, you can get by for a little bit doing that. Pretty soon your engine burns out. Whether it's a week, a month, a year, your engine burns out. And for us, Whiteboard is the oil to our engine. Like, it's one of those things that helps us do everything we do a little bit more efficient. You know, my team now, I've got 3 staff members, and then we've got 35 other staff members for the rest of our brand. We meet every morning and we go through our CRM. We're going through our pipeline views. And the group texting feature is a game changer. Like, we leverage the hell out of that thing. I mean, we're texting like crazy in there. And so we understand what technology the consumer wants instead of just what technology we have. You know, a lot of people are email heavy, and we're just not. Like, we send emails as a CYA, but the text and the phone call and the video, those are the things for us that are our leading communication tools. And so when we looked at Whiteboard, we looked at the support team. US based was a huge deal for me, as people are cutting corners and moving their stuff out of the country. Like, I don't want to have to get on a Zoom call with somebody in India to solve a problem with my CRM. Like, no disrespect, but my time is valuable. And it's frustrating every time I have to get on a call with somebody who doesn't understand my industry, doesn't speak my lingo. I'm going to get on the call with one of your guys and be like, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we need. This thing isn't firing correctly. They go, I got to fix for this. And they understand what I'm saying. And I think that was, and then we know you guys well. We know that it was built by originators for originators, which is the same thing as everything we do. I wouldn't buy a fast car if the designer had never driven fast cars. It's like, why have a technology that's never been used by my own industry?
No, I appreciate that. That makes sense. So how much time and would you say you'd already invested into your previous CRM? And then, like, I mean, you're already committed. How did you make that decision to change?
I'd spent $40,000 on developer costs. I'd spent, hundreds of hours in meetings with my team and generating new fields and triggering new hundreds of hours. I think for me, the reality was, like, how far do you want to go down the wrong path? Like, it's never going to lead to the same ending. Like, we think it will. It's like, if you're on a hike and you take trail left instead of trail right, it doesn't go to the same conclusion. right? It just doesn't. And so you can spend as much money, but you're never going to spend your way out of going down the wrong path. And so for me, I said, you know what? I'm cutting my losses. And so I did. I cut my loss. I wrote it off. And I was like, it's not the end of the world, because at the end of the day, the greatest thing about sales is we can always make more revenue. Like, you cannot get your time back. I can always make more money. I can do more deals, get more creative, buy leads, get new relationships, get MSA, whatever. Open secondary businesses that complement your primary job. You can't get your time back. My dad died when I was 7. And like, I would give $1 million to have a week with my dad. If I could get a week with my dad, I'd give you $1 million today. I'd give you 10 million if I had it. I'd give you every dollar in my pocket today to have a week with my dad, a day with my dad, an hour with my dad. We don't look at our time like that. You know, we look at it and we just treat it like a renewable resource, and it's not. And then you're old, you're unhappy, you're divorced, you've got no relationship with your children, and you go, but you're not willing to spend $100 to get a tool that's going to let you leverage your time. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And that's what we in sales do all the time. We're so smart, we'll talk ourselves out of good solutions.
Isn't that the truth? So, you know, obviously the transition, I'll own it, we'll talk about it. It's never easy. It's never easy to switch systems. I don't care if you're going from the world's worst to the world's best, which there's no such thing, by the way. What advice would you give a branch manager who's looking to transition? Let's say maybe they're wanting to transition to whiteboard, or any other system. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, you need to map out your non-negotiables, and you need to map out your negotiables, and have really good, transparent communication with the team, your team, about, hey, these are our non-negotiables. Can you provide on those non-negotiables? You're not going to get everything you want, ever. In a spouse, in a business, in a car, in yourself, like, you know, and so you have to be willing to say that there's things I'm okay not having integration with 11,000 third-party applications, right? Like, is that a non-negotiable? No. Would it be great? Maybe. You know, if I had the time to even dive in on that and really understand, what are you using the tool for? Who is the audience? Who's your avatar? What do they want? If what they want is a specific type of communication and the platform has that, then don't fight your urge to recreate it somewhere else on your own. It's never a good use of your time, ever.
I couldn't agree more. And well, we'll leave with one last question here, because you have such great advice, and I can't thank you enough for your time today, for jumping on here. But if you were in LO right now, what's the most important thing? Well, you are in LO. What's the most important thing an LO needs to do in the next 30 days right now?
Yeah, I mean, you should be loving on your database really, really hard, and stop making excuses. I think that's probably the number one thing. There was a football player, Lamar Jackson, who wore a shirt one time that said, nobody cares, work harder. And that would be my advice. Nobody cares, work harder. I don't care that your city is in COVID. My city was the first one to quarantine. I had my best month ever in quarantine. You know, like, oh, I don't feel well. Well, I had back surgery last week and closed more loans than I've ever closed before. And I'm not touting like myself, but nobody else really cares about your excuses, because everything is an excuse, right? If a guy with no legs can go to Gold's Gym every morning and hit the bench press, you can go out there and call your database. The reality is, you have to ask yourself, do you really want to do it? Because if you don't want to lose weight, you won't. If you don't want to call your database, you won't. If you don't want to do it, either hire somebody to do it, or stop saying that you want to do it, right? Clear the deck and be honest about who you are. It's a refi. It's an amazing opportunity to refi people. It's like a gold rush in our industry. The easiest way to refi somebody is somebody you've already done a good job for. Now, secondarily, showing your referral partners how you've treated your past clients is a great way for them to copy, paste, and send that to their past clients, right? So I would say we're getting a lot of referrals from our agents with clients who work with other lenders, and that lender never called them, and we are. And so I think that database, your sphere of influence, there's nothing more important than that ever. And you can do that from your cell phone for free. You can do that from your Outlook account, your Gmail account for free. That doesn't take anything. Now, perfect it. Get a CRM, get a marketing admin, get a loan partner, get a team, and start to scale it and grow it. And for me, everything we do must be able to scale. Everything we own, everything we buy must be able to scale. Don't do something that you can't duplicate. Don't create a technique or a strategy that only works when you're slow or only works when you're busy. Create systems and techniques and strategies that you can do when you're busy or you're slow. And I think it'll help you keep on track with your efficiency.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I've talked about this over and over again. Your customers know, they think they know what you do. They really have no clue. I've talked to so many people about this, like, have you refied? Well, no, I got locked in, 3 years ago at 3.85, and I'm good there because I can't get full 1% down. I'm like, no, you're not good. There's things you can do. There's things you can adjust. Heck, you might be able to move into a 15-year instead of in your 30 and shorten the duration of your loan, and maybe not even move your payments much. I mean, so your customers really have no clue what they're doing. So, and the only way that they're going to understand what is available, if it's out there for them, is if you reach out to them and talk to them. And I don't care how you talk to them, just get the information to them. We have an obligation right now, and I'm going to say this as our industry, is that we have to help our customers make better financial decisions, because there are some financial repercussions that are coming from COVID that they're going to need to pay less on their mortgage, or they're going to need to be
100%.
more liquid. And that's one of the things I love about this industry, is that we help people live the American dream. And that's the way you're going to do it right now. Reach out to your database. I love that so much, Shane. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in Nashville, September, what we got, 5th through the 7th on the next level event.
My Outlook calendar is going to remind me, but yeah, it's in September. And I've never been to Nashville. We're super stoked about it.
And if anybody's interested in learning more about Next Level, what should they do?
Boy, they can go to nextlevello.com. Hit me up on Facebook. We're on all the social media channels. I mean, any of us, any of the coaches, any of our clients are transparent. We love what we do. We love who we're with. And be safe, everybody.
Yeah, you want to talk one thing, Shane. You want to talk about the access to people like Barry Habib, Megan Anderson, Jason Frazier, Satema Gali. Go on and on about all these personal relationships that I've received from being a part of this and help my knowledge and make me better at this industry. Andrew Pollock from Lead Pops. Just go on and on about the connections that have helped me.
We can go Wise Hire. It's crazy.
Right on. If you want to learn, you want to become better, come to Next Level. Come see us. We'd love to have you. So,
thanks, brother. We'll see you soon.